All right, the Texans made a really smart draft pick in the 6th round, and I think sometimes we almost forget about day 3 picks. But then there are certain teams, certain organizations, certain coaches that it just seems like they figure out how to find talent in these later rounds. And at certain positions, you can find it more than others. And I have found that linebacker is one of those positions where you can find kind of that diamond in the rough. You can find that guy that is just a good player, even in the 5th, 6th round, and has a lot of upside, just may not be there right away. And what I love about drafting players in the 6th round or so is, especially at the linebacker position, is that they can immediately give you help on special teams. And let's not act like that's not important. That's important. They can immediately give you help on special teams, but then after that, they can turn into a rotational or either rotational or starting caliber player for you, depending on what your team needs. And I feel like the Texans found that in their 6th round pick, Jamal Hill. And this is a guy who came out of Oregon, and he spent his first 3 years as a strong safety there. In fact, when you look at his RAS, they even test him as a strong safety, which is nuts. But anyways, he then went on to play linebacker. And we'll talk about how that change happened and why I think it makes him such a good weapon for this team, especially against pass-heavy teams. I think it's a phenomenal weapon. So first, let's look at the athletic profile, because the first thing you want to do is, does the guy have the athleticism to compete? Then we'll look at kind of what he did and his change of positions and why I think it's going to work out so well for the Houston Texans. And I'm going to actually talk to you about just this guy. So as a strong safety, he tested at a 7.36. In other words, he tested as over a 73rd percentile athlete at strong safety. If you put these same numbers at linebacker, he's probably closer to an 8.5 or a 9, which is just nuts. He would get dinged for the size, that's for sure. But he would not get, the other ones would be even more elite. So even at strong safety, he has elite speed. How great is that? You're talking about a guy who can run a 4.45 and played linebacker, and his play weight was 226 pounds. Now, his play weight was 226 pounds. At the combine, or when he did his testing for the RAS, he was 216. So he dropped 10 pounds to get a little bit faster, but he's going to put that 10 pounds back on. He's still going to be a sub 4.5 guy. All right. His agility grade, not great. It's just not great. As a linebacker, it would have graded out as okay. All right. And same with the explosion. Instead of okay, it would have graded out as good. And his size would have graded out instead of good, it would have graded out as poor. So he ends up being a little bit better he would be if he was put in as a linebacker. But needless to say, he absolutely has the talent to be there. All right. So here's what I think is really, really cool. He selected 188, and he absolutely has the ability to help the Texans improve their subpar passing defense from last year. It ranked near the bottom half of the league, and you have a coach who loves linebackers. Don't tell me DeMeco Ryans wasn't all over this pick. Don't tell me he wasn't all over it. All right? So here's what Hill had to say about his game and the switch. He was talking about, why did you make the switch? And by the way, Manning, his coach, really good college football coach. Really good. Probably a top 5 coach in college football. Definitely top 10, but probably top 5. Was considered for the Alabama job. But anyways, let's look at what he said. He said the best parts of my game when he was playing strong safety are running and tackling. He said this during his post-draft availability on Saturday. Those are some of the best characteristics of a great linebacker. Then he talked about my ability to cover tight ends, running backs, and slot receivers in certain formations were the main factors that went into the change. So in other words, why'd you change to linebacker? Well, as a safety, my best abilities, he said, were tackling, running, right? Those are some of the best things that he could do, running and tackling. Now you move to linebacker, you're still, now your running's even better because you're playing linebacker. It seems even faster from that position. Your tackling's still there, but all of a sudden, as far as linebackers are concerned, his coverage grades are much higher. In fact, PFF is going through a whole weird turn of events, things like this, but he graded as like a top 10 coverage linebacker in this draft, top 5 even. It was nuts. He's going to come out and he's going to immediately be a contributor if he wants to play on defense. I could absolutely see him getting in on third downs and coming in and being one of the 2 linebackers that are there. It could be him and Harris, right? And I think he could even challenge To'o for playing time beyond that. You can get cute if you only want to have one safety, and you can bring him up into the box instead of having to bring Ward or Petre up into the box. He was talking about he's going to be able to cover tight ends and running backs out of the backfield, and in the right situation, slot receivers. Are you kidding me with this? Like, are you kidding me with this? A guy who's, it makes sense. The issue is he's not that tall. He's only 6 feet tall, which make it difficult to play in a linebacker room where it can be hard to see beyond. But right now, it's a very clear picture on him and how he makes it to the roster. So you're going to keep 5 or 6 linebackers on your team, right? So you're going to keep him in there as a special teams guy, and I hope he shows that he can be a good special teams guy, because right now you have a few players. You brought in Delshon Phillips. You have Neville Hewitt, who's your, veteran presence in backup middle linebacker. You went and spent big money on Azeez El-Shaair, good player. Christian Harris in his second, now third year, he will be. But then beyond that, I'm telling you, he's right there. He's right there. And when you look at the just straight ability, when you put on the tape of this guy, he flies. He's extremely fast. And in a league, depending on what the matchup is, in a league where speed is at a premium. And I think at times on this defense last year, the thing that wasn't there was speed. So when you can get faster, it doesn't mean this guy's going to be the fastest guy on the defense. I mean, he's a mid 4.4 guy. It is pretty fast, right? I mean, for example, when you look at the defensive backs, that is a faster 40 time than Petre, Jimmy Ward, Jeff Okudah. Like, it's Kamari Lassiter. He's faster than all of them, right? So he's already fast, but he's playing linebacker, so that 4.45 speed seems even faster. So I think this was just a really good pickup in the 6th round that might be the most impactful in comparison to where he was picked of anybody in the draft. So anyways, there you go. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Hey, we're getting really close to 15,000 subs. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. We'd love to get there. Make you part of the Sports Talk Extra community. Love talking Texas football. All right, thanks everybody for watching. See you on the next one.